So I'm always looking for ways to streamline my process so I can get more knives out there to the customer. And that last 10% of finishing a knife can just take the most time. So if you imagine you've got this hardened blade and you've ground in all the bevels and you need to remove those scratches, you generally do it by hand with hand sanding. And if the blade is hard, it can take a long time. And to be honest with you, it's the worst part of knife making for me. So I've been wondering how I could negate all that time. What could I do? Something different. And I've seen a lot of people using this stuff, which is an anti-scale compound. And this particular one is Condursal Z1100. And the idea behind this is that you'd finish the knife before heat treating. So you'd get your lovely finish, you'd get all your grind lines running perfectly. You'd then coat it with this anti-scale compound, heat treat, and after you heat treat and you temper in, you can then brush off the Condursal, which is the anti-scale compound. And the idea is this Condursal would replace scale, which would normally be built up in the heat treating process, which can be super hard. You need to go back to the grinder to remove it, and you're then left hand sanding. So the idea here is you do all your hand sanding beforehand. Should save me a lot of time. So let's give it a go. So it hasn't worked. This is what I've ended up with. If I can just get that in focus there. So I don't think that's scale left on the blade. I think this could be the Condursal, the actual product itself. But it's very difficult to remove, and I haven't got this shiny blade as I thought I would have. So it does now require going back to the grinder and going back to hand sanding. So yeah, it hasn't worked for me, but I've done everything that the manufacturer had said to do. So the blade was finished, it was degreased, completely clean, and the instructions do say to dip, only to have one coat, let any drips come off. So exactly how I did it, but it just hasn't worked. And if anything, it's made things slightly worse for me, because now I've got this horrible pattern, and it's, yeah, back to hand sanding, unfortunately. So it hasn't worked, and I don't know why. So if anybody has used this Condursal or any other anti-scale compound, please let me know down below what I did wrong and why it hasn't worked. Because for me, I'm going back to the drawing board, and I'm going back to hand sanding all these knives. A lesson learned.